You did it. You nailed the interview. You gave them your A game and they gave you an offer. Nice. And then the recruiter casually mentions, by the way, the offer is contingent on you passing a background check. For whatever reason, you start to worry and wonder about all kinds of things. What are they going to look for? How far back are they going to look? What do they look for during a drug test? Will they look at my Facebook and LinkedIn profile? What if I don't agree with the results? Well, we've got your answers right here. After the employer made you an offer, you should have been provided with a disclosure that a background check was going to be requested by your prospective employer. You signed an authorization permitting them to look into specific areas of your life using the services of a consumer reporting agency, or CRA. Be aware that the employer, not the background check agency, decides what types of background checks will be done. Also know that in the U.S., the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA, provides strict guidelines about how an employer, through a CRA or a background check company, can request a background check. The FCRA and state laws also provide consumers' rights as they pertain to information contained in their criminal and credit background reports in general. Unlike what you may have seen on TV or in the movies, there isn't one single source of information about you. A person with swift computer skills sitting in a dark room can't just pull up everything about you within a few keystrokes. CRAs source information through various means, calling employers and universities, looking at public records, and even, when required by certain jurisdictions, physically going to courthouses to retrieve information. This process is usually completed within a few days, but can sometimes take 2 weeks or more and is contingent on return phone calls, a court's public records computer system functioning properly, and holidays. If you've lived, worked, or gone to school in multiple states or overseas, the process can take longer. Based on HireRight's recent benchmark report, which surveyed over 6,000 HR professionals, the most popular types of background checks are criminal or other public record searches, verifications of previous employment and/or references, identity, education, and motor vehicle records. If your job will be in banking, finance, or any position where you'll be handling money, the employer may have the CRA report your credit history. You may also be screened for drug and alcohol use. Again, what the CRA checks is up to the employer, so that list may vary. The CRA may search for criminal records from local, regional, and federal authorities. How far back in history they go is determined by the FCRA or the state. The FCRA in several states restrict the reporting of non-convictions and other potentially adverse information that occurred more than 7 years ago unless certain exceptions are met. With your consent, the CRA will contact the employers listed on your application to verify the dates you worked and the positions you held. They may also contact references you have provided to ascertain performance and character. The identity search verifies that you have a validly issued ID and that your name is assigned to that ID number. The search is performed through various sources depending on the country where your ID was issued. You may be asked to provide your driver's license or passport. The CRA will contact educational or licensing institutions you've listed to verify your course of study and degrees earned. They'll also research any professional licenses to ensure that they are all up to date if your prospective employer deems them necessary for the position. If your role involves driving, your future employer will likely check your motor vehicle record, or MVR. This will be necessary in order for them to insure you if you're driving their vehicles. If your future employer requests a drug screen, you'll be asked to go to a collection site and provide a sample of either urine, saliva, blood, or hair. The drugs the lab will screen for are dictated by your future employer. Illicit drugs will show up. Prescribed medication will as well. If you're asked about a prescription, you may need to provide proof of a prescription from your doctor. You can request a copy of your background report. If misrepresentations or negative elements in your background check are revealed, it's up to your future employer to decide what to do with that information. The CRA does not decide whether or not you are hired, nor does it make recommendations. If the negative aspects of your report do indeed impact your offer, your prospective employer has a legal obligation to inform you of the potentially adverse action and give you the opportunity to dispute the accuracy or completeness of the findings directly with the CRA. Within 30 days, the CRA will investigate the disputed information and will notify you of the results. This may take up to 45 days if you provide additional information to the CRA that needs to be assessed. Should you still be unsatisfied, you have the option to include a brief statement to rebut the findings. For a complete breakdown of each party's obligations and your rights in the background screening process, read the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It's understandable that the time during your background screening can feel like limbo, but armed with proper information, you can know that what is found is done fairly, accurately, and with your best interest in mind. Now go out there and get that job.